Effort justification. Okay. All right. Matching hypothesis. What does it say? Remember Uno cards?
Yeah.
Matching hypothesis. Adrienne. Sorry.
People with the same kind of attraction tend to
End up together. Yeah. So people who have the same level of attraction tend to end up together. Okay? Reciprocity effect in regards to, getting together with people. Yeah.
You like someone back because they like you.
Yeah, we tend to like people who like us back. Okay? Reciprocity effect. There's also reciprocity norm, which is another thing. It has to do with advertising. That's the one where, remember, they'll send you something in the mail, like they'll send you a survey in the mail with $1. And because you get the $1, you feel like what? Like you want to reciprocate and answer the survey. So it's more likely you're going to answer the survey if you get something in the mail. Okay? Same way, like a lot of those organizations, like for example, St. Jude's, which is like a children's cancer research center and hospital, they'll send you like address labels in the mail. Like, like your return address with your name and address, the stickers, you know what I'm talking about? And then, so that way when you send out a letter, like you have a sticker with your name and address on it. So they'll send you those, because it's pretty cheap to print, in hopes that if you get that, you'll what? You'll donate money. Okay? All right. So we did that. And again, matching hypothesis is mainly for a romantic connection. Like you end up with someone who's the same level. So do opposites attract? No. No. So similarity breeds liking is sort of the statement that goes with it. Okay, 2 types of love. Passionate and companionate. Which is more first? Passionate. And then later on? Companionate. Correct. Can you have them together?
Yeah.
Yes. Ooh. All right, attachment styles. Okay, so Hazen and Shaver, secure, anxious, ambivalent, and avoidant. Okay, so who can tell me about this study?
Secure attachment showed like those kids who were like dropped off at school and didn't come back, and then when the parents came back they were happy. So it showed that later in the relationships that's how they were. Or for anxious and ambivalent, like they're separated, they would cry and cry, and then when the parents came back they'd become upset. It'd be kind of rocky, and then in later relationships it'll be kind of rocky, and then avoidant.
So think you're avoiding the person.
So when the child would be dropped off, they wouldn't care, and then when the parents would come back, they wouldn't care either?
Right, exactly. So avoidant is you never really form an attachment, and later in life it's difficult to get close to people. Like maybe you don't necessarily trust them or whatever, you just don't have that connection. Secure, most of the population is secure, and that's where, exactly, your parents leave, you'd obviously rather they stay, but you don't like completely freak out, and when they come back, you're happy to see them. So later on in life, healthy relationships. This is the one that they like to test on because it's the most interesting. Because, the babies, they're infants, so they're less than 1 year. They would freak out when the parents left, and then exactly they'd be like, oh, I did leave. And so these are the people who, like, in relationships, they tend to be very jealous and always, want, like affirmation that they're loved and stuff like that. So that's anxious ambivalent. So anything with volatile or rocky or jealousy, that's going to be anxious ambivalent. Okay? All right. Questions? Okay. We're going to study this more, I want to say, in the development chapter, I think. We'll hit that again, though. Okay, culture and love. What are you more likely to, like in the movies, romantic, let's run away together. Individualistic. And collectivistic cares more about what your parents think, what your whole community thinks. Okay? Romeo and Juliet would be individualistic. They did,
Oh, right.
kill themselves.
I was thinking about
Oh, yeah, you're right, because the parents, you're right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, attractiveness, facial symmetry, remember, symmetry has to do with attractiveness, because if one, and most people are not, pretty much everyone is not symmetrical, actually, if you really look. Like, usually one person has one ear slightly higher, or one eye slightly bigger. It's true. But But perfect, whatever, perfect looks or whatever, healthy looks have to do with symmetry because they feel like if something's off, it's a signal that something in your health is off. And so if you're unhealthy, then you're not able to what? To reproduce. And the whole goal of everything, right, is to reproduce, okay? To further on the species, right? And what kind of psychologist, by the way, believes that? Evolutionary, good. Okay? Waist-hip ratio 0.7, again, this has to do with reproductive potential. If you're like wider in your stomach area, then they think you might be pregnant, and so you can't reproduce more at that time, I guess. So, you guys get that? Yeah. I'm not going to go into details. All right. Men, so when women look at men, do they look so much at physical appearance?
No.
Not as much. What do they look at?
If they're able to provide.
If they're able to provide for the family. So ambition is a big thing, right? If they're ambitious, like they want to get ahead. Social status, okay? And remember, when people lie, if men lie about that, it really upsets women. Because they're kind of like fooled, and they want to make sure their family's provided for and stuff like that. And again, this isn't everybody. It's not like women are gold diggers, but this is kind of like, whenever we talk about studies in psychology, it's the norm or like most of the population, okay? Okay, menstrual cycles and attraction. When are women most attracted to like rugged men or manly looking men?
Time of the month.
Not time of the month. During ovulation. You wouldn't get pregnant during a period. You get pregnant during ovulation. 2 weeks before.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay? Roughly. Yeah. So and then when are women like most likely to want to hang out with men? During ovulation. Yeah. Okay? This is the PG version.
Oh yeah, no, it is. Strippers supposedly made more money. What?
During ovulation, strippers made more money. So they don't know if it was, because, obviously variables confound the study. They don't know if the women are more sort of aggressive or like assertive during that time. You know what I mean, like throwing themselves. Or they don't know if it's something with pheromones and the men. Remember I told you guys about pheromones in the study with the sweat?
Yeah.
Okay. You're like, yeah, you don't need to tell us again. Okay, deception. Women are upset when men lie about money. Men are upset when women lie about promiscuity. So that means like if women have, like let's say a guy asks a girl, how many people have you slept with? And the woman lies about that, they're likely to be very upset. Why?
Because they want to reproduce with that person.
They want to reproduce with that person, and they want to know that if they're providing for the woman, it's actually their baby and not somebody else's. Okay? Right. Okay, so we did reciprocity and reciprocity norm. Mere exposure effect, remember the, what was the movie again? Easy A, yeah. So where the song, she hated it at first, and then over time she ended up liking it. So if you have a scenario where, you're watching a TV show and a commercial comes on, and then like 2 commercials later, the same commercial comes on. Have you seen that happen before? Or right after each other. Or it's like, one Geico commercial followed by a different Geico commercial. So the goal here is mere exposure effect, that the fact that you're going to be exposed to it more, the more you'll like it. I want to say, it was either the AP test, no, I don't think it was the same, it may have been a practice test I gave the kids last year. They talked about a girl like joining a club. This was a real AP test, a real free response. And it gave a scenario where a girl like wanted to join some kind of club at school, and it said, and then that's the scenario, and then like I said, they'll put the terms. So one of the terms was mere exposure effect, and it said, describe how this could how these terms have to do with her making friends. And so with mere exposure effect, what would you say?
She saw the friends every day.
Yeah, the more she attended the club meetings, the more she would gain friends because they would keep seeing her. Okay, so that's the type of stuff that's going to be on there. You've got to be able to form that connection. And sometimes you might be like, I don't know if this is right, but go for it because it probably is. All right? Another one that was on there was circadian rhythm. So how would that affect? So what would you say?
Well, with the girl scenario?
Yeah. See, that's what makes the
That's a hard
AP test
one.
tricky. So you could say something like, well, if she's a morning person and they're, night people and, she, because of her circadian rhythms, like, she's not really on the same clock as them. And so it might be harder for her to make friends because she might not be willing to go out at night, something like that. It's a far stretch, but you're gonna have to do that. Okay, so as long as you really know the terms, you should be able to do that. That's what makes AP test hard, is it's not just memorizing, it's applying what you know. Okay, so that's why over break I'm going to give you guys some real AP tests so you can practice that. And the other thing is with the AP test is, like, every test that you've had, the free response has been only for that chapter. What they do on the AP test, in the last few years at least they've been doing, is they'll give a scenario and then they'll give 5 different words and they're from all over the book. And somehow, just like we just did, you have to apply them to the scenario. So it's tough, it's not easy, people think, oh, psychology is easy, but it's interesting, it's super interesting. That's what, for me, makes it easier. But, you still have to, like, think and apply those terms. So keep that in mind. Remind me to maybe tell the class that on Monday, just so they kind of know what to expect and where to sort of, like, place their efforts during winter break and stuff like that. Is the thing still going, still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, good, okay. Awesome. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so we did cognitive, affective, and behavioral. So this is with abortion. Abortion is wrong because only God has the power to end a life. So that's a thought, right? That's an opinion. Whenever it's an opinion, it's cognitive. Whenever it's like, like gets you in the heart kind of thing, like, oh, I feel sick when I see pictures of an abortion, or it makes me sad. Okay, that's affective. And then when you're doing something like you're protesting or you're writing letters or you're talking about it, then it's behavioral. Okay? I think you guys have that down, right? Don't worry about that. Okay, the IAT, do you guys remember what that was?
Yeah.
That test? What did it show?
Not like racism, but like
Racial prejudice, yeah. Okay, so the person was sitting in front of the computer and they had their finger on, they would press either 1 or 2. One of them represented good, one of them represented bad. They flashed real quick pictures of black and white faces, and they also flashed words. And they were told to focus on the words and say whether it was a good or bad word. And what did they notice? If they were white, what did they do?
good.
Well, so the white people, if they saw white faces, they hit good, yeah, and if they saw black faces, they hit bad. And so what kind of attitude does that show? Their implicit attitude, right? It's an attitude that they're not aware of, really. Their explicit attitude showed what?
That they are aware of it.
That they're not racist. So if they were asked, like, oh, how do you feel about black people? Do you have black friends? Do you blah, blah, blah? Their explicit attitude showed they were not racist. Their implicit attitude, which is sort of in the subconscious, showed that they were in fact racist. Another thing that showed that was when they did, it was either a PET or a CT scan, or no, it was a PET or a functional MRI, and they saw black faces. What lit up?
The big dog.
Okay, because they were what?
Scared.
Afraid. Okay, yeah, fear. And what would it? Yeah, kind of. So what would an evolutionary psychologist attribute that to?
Friend or foe?
What's that?
Friend or foe?
Friend or foe, right? They're part of our out group, so we have to characterize them quickly as a friend or foe so that we can protect themselves if they are in fact an enemy. Okay? Make sense? Is it all coming back to you guys?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So that's basically what we talked about. So your implicit attitude, think like inside, implicit. It's inside, we don't really know about it. Explicit, think whatever you have EX, it's outside, like to exit. So that's the attitude that shows outward. Okay? Yeah.
Are there any restrooms open right now?
I can call and request that. Oh no, that's a boy. So as we know,
Building open, but it looks dark.
let me call. Okay, so why don't you guys want to take like a 5-minute break?
Yes, sir.
Or a 2-minute break?
And I'll upload this.